Hello, how are you today?
I'm amazing. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you for giving us some of your time today.
No worries. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so now I'm guessing, are you still in Australia right now?
No, I flew in. I actually flew in from DragonCon in Atlanta last night. And I arrived here, and it's just, I absolutely adore this town. It's so beautiful. And I can't wait to get amongst it and meet all the fans. And I'm a big fan of the fans. I absolutely love conventions, and I love meeting people that have supported me and helped me through my journey over all these years. So I'm like just waiting by the door for Thursday to come around so I can get out there.
Nice. I mean, that's good to hear. I mean, I think things have kind of changed with conventions where it used to be kind of stay away from the fans, but now it seems like a lot of actors and actresses are really embracing the cons and meeting their fans. So that's great to hear.
I mean, it only makes sense because they've looked after us for so many years, and we couldn't go on the amazing journeys that we've been on and couldn't tell the amazing stories unless they have, given us all that support, love along the way. So I'm 100% all about conventions. And I was actually doing an interview on a show in LA not that long ago, and they kind of had a bit of a go at conventions. And I went, you know what? There's nothing wrong with conventions. They're absolutely amazing. There's so much negativity and craziness in this world. It's so refreshing when you come to a convention and everyone's so happy and just so completely in love with the weekend because they're meeting people that have inspired them, and that they feel like we're all sort of best mates, which we kind of are because we've helped each other out so much along the way. So
yeah.
And the funny thing is that they were sort of having a go at what people were wearing, and I went, I think it's great. There's so much craziness in this world that it's good that for one weekend out of a year, people can put away their worries and away their bills and away their nonsense, normal life, and they can dress up as an alien or they can dress up as Princess Leia, and it makes them feel liberated and excited, and I'm all for it.
Nice. Well, that's good. Now, forgive me if I'm wrong, but wasn't your role as Tiana on Farscape like the first role you ever had right out of the gate?
Well, I did. I worked on a few other series, but just for guest jobs.
Okay.
That was really my first long-term job, and it was amazing because originally they only cast me for one episode. And I have had I've been so in love with the Henson Company since the beginning of time. My favorite film of all time is The Dark Crystal and The Labyrinth.
Oh, nice.
And of course,
mine as well.
Touched by the company, yeah, with the Storyteller and the Muppets and Fraggle Rock, and the list goes on. So when I got the audition, I was so over the moon, and I read the character brief, and I went, I want to make this creature something that's so unbelievably believable, and she has to fit seamlessly into the world of Henson's because they're so clever at creating characters that are complex and diverse, and they're intriguing to watch. So that's why I came up with all these crazy movements, and it was just such a joy to create that character, because it's not like you have to play a doctor or a lawyer or a cop or a robber. You get to play an alien from outer space and live on a spaceship.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Now, was it really uncomfortable walking around and moving the way you portrayed Gianna? Because, I mean, that doesn't look really comfortable.
No, I loved her. I just felt very, it was just such a great opportunity, and I was a baby. I was like 23 at that age, so I just went in so passionate about the story that I was telling, and it was so great because the scripts were written so well, and you walk on the set and you're working with these amazing creatures and prosthetics, and from the cast all the way through to the crew. It was such a tight-knit family, and it's very rare that you get the opportunity to work on a series for that amount of time. So we were like one big, amazing, intense family. It was really good.
Yeah.
I think that actually the audience could see that as the days went on, because we became more confident with each other and really tested each other's boundaries and really pushed each other to challenge our characters to be a bit more dangerous and to be a bit more organic and to be a bit more out there. So I think it worked very well.
Now, because you were a fan of, like Dark Crystal and Fraggle Rock and Labyrinth, was it difficult interacting with these Muppet, creatures like Pilot and Rigel on that while you were actually acting on?
Never. Because if you look into these creatures' eyes, you see that there's a soul that 100% exists there, because they're made so meticulously and they're so beautiful. By the end of the scene, I would look into Rigel's eyes or Pilot's eyes and be like, "Is that okay for you?" And be like eyeballing the animatronic, and then I'd be like, oh, sorry, and have to, look down to the group of puppeteers that are sitting in between your legs, and you go, "Oh, sorry, was that all right for you guys?" Just be so drawn into the creatures that they made, because they are so lifelike, which is totally cool, because recently they asked me to come back and host the Jim Henson Creature Shop Challenge, and it was so exciting to, after, almost more than 10 years, to come back and be part of the Henson family again. And it was such a beautiful connection that we had many moons ago. So it was so great to be invited back into their world. And so I hosted this show, which was 10 creature designers competing for $50,000 and a year to work full-time at the Jim Henson Creature Shop. And I said to Brian, look, I'm a little nervous about doing reality TV, because I'm an actress, that's my main passion, and reality's kind of taking over all the actors' roles. And he's like, you need to meet these creature designers, because they'll make you change your mind. And when I met them, they're not there to be rich and famous. They're there because they love their craft, and they're so genuine and so intelligent and so passionate. So it was really great, because you could watch them not only design the creature, but they fabricated it, they built the animatronics. Quite often they would perform and puppeteer the creature as well for the screen test. And they had these crazy challenges that they had to achieve within the smallest amount of time. So it was a very beautiful process to watch. And an even more amazing thing was that we all got a sneak peek into the creature shop and into the world of Jim Henson, which I haven't revisited for some time. So it was a very magical experience.
Nice. That's amazing. That's one thing I've always really enjoyed, with Jim Henson, is the Muppets, and how, even the simple ones that look, like you see on Sesame Street and that, they just seem to have a life of their own. And then you see ones that were like on Farscape, and
don't they?
Yeah, and then you see the ones on Farscape.
The eyes don't move. You still like, look at Kermit. You go that, but still you cry with him, you laugh with him, you sing with him. It's amazing what they have convinced us to feel. But they are absolutely truer than true emotions when you look into the eyes of that frog.
Yeah. Now, you're also kind of well known for your character of Lara Knight on Rescue Special Ops as well, a few years back. Was it really different playing more of a human character and transitioning from the alien? Was that foreign, or was that pretty good?
I feel like... Sorry. The line
you're fine.
Delayed, I think. I feel it was really great, because straight after Farscape, I moved on to Secret Life of Us, which was really great, because the lead girl left from that. They needed a new lead to replace her, so I snuck straight in on that show, and that was awesome, because it was already a very well-established show within the Australian film and television industry.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went on to play Stingers, which was a pretty popular police show. So, but there's definitely some moments where I look in, where I see old clips, and I go, oh, I feel like I see a bit of Chiana coming out there, because it's hard when you play something for almost over 5 years, and it's such a very strong... she was such a strong physical character that she definitely has changed my posture.
Yeah.
So when I went to Los Angeles, which was really good, and then Rescue Special Ops happened, which was 3 seasons playing the leading lady on that, which was so good, because it was Channel 9, who I love. Directors that I work with from Farscape are working on it. amazing cast and crew again. And one thing that I adore about a lot of characters I play is that they are quite physical, and they've got, they're not bad with a fight scene, and they can pull off abseiling and wire work. And I just adore anything that's stunt driven as well, because you can't act in those situations. You've just kind of got to surrender to the moment. So for a month before Rescue Special Ops, they trained us, like they threw us off cliffs, and they made us climb up non-stop rock walls, and and taught us all the medical lingo. And it was really exciting that they trusted us so much to do all these crazy stunts. So that was pretty cool.
Wow, that kind of sounds crazy. I don't know if I could do that, but it sounds fun too. I mean, getting thrown off a cliff. Yeah. A buddy of mine.
It was insane. Like one of the things that was probably the most I've ever been scared on set was I had the scene where I had to save this person who got washed down a storm drain because he was an adrenaline junkie. So, they go down the storm drains and they sort of surf them. And this is actually based on a true story that kids actually do in Australia. And then they don't realise that the council or whoever's have put up a grill for pollution or for safety or for whatever. And if there's a flash flood of any sort, then they're gone. So we sort of had this scene where we get like completely throttled down this storm drain, and we get pushed up against the iron grid, and the water is just rising and rising and rising. And I had to be the rescuer and be the one that had her business together, and was meant to be kind of brave. And they're like, cut. Yeah, so they were like, okay, we've got to cut, we've got to stop, because Gigi, you look like you're freaking out. And I said, I am. It was so intense. Like, they were literally getting pummeled by water, and they kept increasing it. So, and because the force of the water was pushing us up against the grate, you couldn't move. There's no way if that water went up that I could have got myself out of there. So the only way that I knew the scene was over was when one of the stunt guys, would literally pull me up out of a hole above the storm drain and pull me out of there, because the force of the water was so strong, like a drowned cat kind of thing. I was sort of all limp, and the next day I had like bruises all on one side of my body from the grate, just because the pressure was so intense. But by far, it was one of the best and most amazing and awesome scenes I've ever done, but it was pretty intense. So they really do push it to the limits, and they really do, want it to be as real as possible. And so I really had to put my big girl pants on to look brave in that one. I can tell you that.
So do you find yourselves at times, like the next morning, like after this scene, where you're like, why am I doing this? Because
never.
I love water, and I love jumping into lakes and cliff diving and stuff like that, but just being slammed up against a grate like that with water pounding on me, it's like, oh my gosh, am I crazy? So you don't have that moment, huh? Wow. Well, that's amazing.
If they would say, oh, we've got to reshoot it, I'd be like, all right, and I would totally there would definitely be a truthful fear there, but I trust that the people that I work with are confident and will look after me. Maybe I trust a bit too much. Maybe that's my problem.
Well, no, I think that's great that
I
that
love
trust
it, because
is
the
there.
more real we can make it. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just saying that's great that trust is there. So you were saying about how real?
Yeah, because the more real that we can make it for people watching, the better. I'm all about method acting, and I'm all about throwing myself into the deep end and really working through your body and your mind and your spirit to do the best possible, to tell the story in the best possible way. So if it means a little bit more water or being thrown off a cliff that's that much taller, do it.
Nice. So now that we've all had all these great roles that you've played, what's next? I mean, where are you going next? Is there some movies on the horizon? Is there more TV series? Are you maybe venturing into another form of media?
I have an idea that I've been working on for some time, and I've been speaking to a couple of different people about it through connections that I've had through other shows, and they seem to be pretty excited by it. So I'm just trying to figure out what direction I want to go with. And I've been writing comic book series. I've been writing a comic book series for a while because I didn't want to be an actress that just rocks up at a convention just with glossy headshots. I wanted to give something back to the people that have supported and helped me out on my journey. So I wanted to give the fans something from my heart. So I have my comic books and I've got my music, and I believe now that just being an actress isn't enough. So if you can get on the other side of the camera, if you can produce, if you can write, if you can sing, if you can dance, if you can act, completely commit to that, because the more you can learn about the industry, the better and the stronger your characters and your craft can be. So I'm definitely still auditioning for projects, but I've got a few things bubbling myself. I started a company called Little Empire Productions because my dad was quite a big-time promoter in Australia, and he bought Baryshnikov and Nureyev and the Cirque du Soleil and the Moscow Circus and big musical acts, and he, to me, was my big empire. So I was talking to my brother, who's quite a creative soul, and I said, what about we do Little Empire Productions? And he's like, okay, lock it in. So
no, that's awesome.
If people want to keep an eye on me and check out my adventures, I've got my website, which is www.gigiedgley.com, so just my name. And on there I've got links to my Twitter and my Facebook so people can follow my adventures and check out what I'm doing.
Nice. Now, you mentioned comic book. I don't want to take too much more of your time, but what is that? I mean, that kind of piques my interest there. Is it something you've written? Have you written and done the artwork as well?
I co-wrote. I was in Seattle many years ago for Emerald City Con, and a gentleman, I was having a chat to one of the organisers, and he said, "Oh, you've got some crazy stories. Have you ever thought about writing a comic book?" And I said, "Oh, I'd love to, because I love comics, but I don't know all the ins and outs of how to put one together." And he ran a comic book store and had a couple of baby comics himself. And he said, "Well, why don't we join forces and create something together?" So we've created this comic called Blue Shift, and it's about a girl who gets sucked up into space and the adventures that she goes on, and her journey through the uncharted territories. And it's kind of meant to be, a look at how funny humanity is compared. Is it the humans that are the aliens, or is it the aliens that are the aliens? It's that kind of perspective on the story. And then we also have, it was sort of married to that, another little project which was called Nobody Knows, which started off as a graphic novel and then morphed into a short film that I co-wrote and directed, and people can check that out on YouTube, which is about an actress who plays a girl in a SyFy. So it's all, I want to create female characters that are strong and diverse and complex, interesting to look at, because I think in the film and television industry, it's such a male-orientated place that I think it's nice to, reinvent and the female and look into women a bit more, because we're quite often pushed to the side, which I think we need to rise up and depict ourselves in the truth that we are. I'm a big fan of the woman.
No, I mean that's great.
We're pretty interesting
I think
creatures.
that's something we've kind of seen come more prominent, like with the Alien Predator movies. The main lead is a female, and I think it really helps, especially like the younger generations, see a really strong woman that can face a huge opposing threat, bravely and not cower like a little girl. And I think that's a great thing to try to strive for and achieve.
Yeah, so do I.
So, well, I mean, I just want to say thank you again for your time and dealing with a little bit of technical glitch there. But, I hope success in everything, you go after, as well, with your comic book, with your music and everything else, your production company. It's just, I loved hearing your story, just how you got into the business and just how you love your fans. That's just great.
Awesome. All right, I'll send you a little email now with other bits and pieces, and you can throw it to the side if you want, or there might be something of worth in there as well.
Oh, we'd love to promote it. I mean, this is the fun thing about doing the show like this is, we get to promote all this stuff that people love and are passionate about, and I love the passion.
What it's about.
People, like you said, going to these conventions and seeing these people spend not only their money, but just all the time they put into making their costume look just like the costume they saw on the big screen or on TV, and then walking around, and they're doing it proudly, and I see people that kind of snicker, and it's just like, you don't know the man hours that's gone into just that jacket, and and they've designed it just from looking at the TV screen and just kind of eyeballing it. You shouldn't snicker. I mean, that's impressive. So.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, is there any...
nice chatting with you.
Yeah, is you as well. Is there any last-minute things you'd want to shout out or throw out there for our listeners to go look out?
If people want to keep an eye on my adventures and the conventions that I go to so we can meet each other one-on-one and have a good connection, that'd be awesome. And you can keep an eye on me through www.gigiedgley.com. And I've got links to my Facebook and my Twitter, and I always post lots of cool pictures up there, and also and I always have my camera on the ready at conventions because I love interacting with the fans and taking photos of all their cool outfits and stuff as well. So
nice.
Thank you so much for supporting me and looking after me, and I hope to do the same for you.
All right. Well, thank you again, and hopefully we see you at the convention and get to say hi in person.
That'd be awesome. Thanks, babe.